Today is move-out day of my artist studio.
For the past 4 months, I have been the artist in residence at the Graduate Hotel, where I have been conducting an interview series called New Haven Dreams. This was my studio. You can see the different cards that people I interviewed gave me here. I drew some things there. That was my production space. I've moved my camera and everything. Here was where I interviewed people. There's some art I made, and that's where people would come in and draw their dreams. That was the entrance to the studio. This is where I would interview people about their dreams. So the person I would interview would sit right here, and I would sit right here. And I would ask them about their dreams. And I'm going to miss this place. I'm going to miss this studio. I've really liked being here. I've liked the stream of people coming in. I've liked hearing about people's dreams. I've liked making their dreams reality. I've liked having a space where I could claim my identity as an artist. And that's hard. You know, this world, there's not a whole lot of space for arts outside of the commercial world. So what a privilege it has been to be able to experiment and try to create something new. I developed an entirely new series that has never been done before. And I'm really excited for the journey that it will take in whatever form it takes after this residency. Behind me are some paintings there's a triptych of oneness to separateness, as wave particle, as molecule, as bubbles. I have this poem about how everything is mounds of bubbles, everything is atoms, time is bubbles, everything is bubbles, and this forming, reforming, undulating, subsuming, resubsuming, recreating, frothing nature of existence. That triptych is playing with that. And then there's a kind of freeform consciousness exploration of what it is to explore that oneness and go back and forth between the different forms. I also have some more liminal paintings below and above it of the fuzziness, of the mists of space and time. I really love how this is arranged here, and I'm going to miss it. I really am. And then on the other side, I have a lot of work about worms. I think worms are this very simple creature, and yet what they do is they transmute waste into gold. They're alchemists. They take leaves or decaying matter and turn it into fertilizer or nutrients for new life. And so I'm really fascinated with worms. In this animated series that I'm developing about a canary in the coal mine, there is a character called the worm god, which transmutes life and death and life. And so this particular drawing kind of just came to me as these are worms from my home planet. So it's a drawing of one of my grandparents, my grandworms. And then the one below it is, again, a free-form expression of, I just kind of started creating things, creating shapes, and it turned into a clown nose that's also kind of like a prism. So, and then the one that's below it on the floor looking up, I like how low it is on the ground, because that's how I feel. I feel like this little creature staring up at the world, so small, and just looking up at the stars. That's what it says on that drawing. And that's a drawing of one of my dreams. So, with the stars. Along the windowsill, there are different plexiglass pieces. So, in the process of this art residency, what I did was I interviewed people about their dreams. I had them draw their dreams on butcher paper, and then I cut out the dreams, the different shapes of it, and created frames for them. So the leftover plexiglass, I just kind of was experimenting with it, and I really liked the way it turned out. It created this kind of whimsical thing from the alleyway that you could look into the artist studio to see. And so I had a few people come in, be interviewed because they saw those little things in the window. So they were kind of like my calling card for the past 3 months. Above them on the window, we have these 3 wigs. So most people see them and they just think, oh, wigs here. But actually this is in relation to this triptych right here of the oneness to the form, and then the form back subsumed into the oneness. We have crone, woman, and girl. So everything is intentional. And the different identities that we wear, the use of hair. Hair is a huge topic in a lot of my work. And I am fascinated by the historical significance of hair, the cultural significance of hair, the spiritual significance of hair, and also that it's time. So like my hair, this down here is me when I was maybe 7 or 8. So I have time carried with me in my body, and that we can have these different identities through time is a huge thing for me. Over here we have a few more drawings. These are shirts that I created for New Haven Dreams. So they have the logo on them. And these are some of the framed pieces of drawing from people. So this painting in particular just came to me as well, and I'm really connected to it. There's something so familiar to me about whoever this character is. I'm very, very connected to this piece. This piece, again, more freeform. This is more like organic experience of pollination or new life, new birth, very plant matter, biologics, lots of energetic things going on in this drawing. These two were freeform, and then from them the forms came. What's really powerful to me about these are the explorations of cosmology, quantum physics, worms, mycelium, particles, thoughts, dark matter, gray matter, is shape. In these two, I'm really trying to work through things. I've always sought freedom, and that one's me working through how to get free. This is a piece I did more freeform as well, with some watercolor and just creating shapes, and I just love the way that it looks. Over in this area, we had the spots where people would draw their dreams. So this is some butcher paper that's rolled out, and butcher paper is actually a huge part of my artistic practice. It was actually the first means of art that I was exposed to. My mother worked from home, and so what she would do is when she had a meeting or a phone call, she would roll out butcher paper on the kitchen floor, and my brother and I would draw on it for hours and hours. And that's where I really fell in love with watercolors and pigments and shapes and different things. So in every exhibition that I have, I always bring butcher paper as a collaborative element, and also as a way to just keep that thread alive of just rolling out possibility, rolling out what can be. And so in this artist residency, what I did was I had the butcher paper out on this table, and then I also had the butcher table out on this beautiful drafting table. I love this drafting table so much. It was so heavy, so I couldn't move it over and like work on it myself. So what I did was put butcher paper here for people to draw on. And this was actually the first spot where people would come in and write about their dreams. So they would come in, I'd invite them to write about their dreams, they'd draw about their dreams, and then we'd go over to the chairs and I would interview them. After the interview process, I would edit the interviews, upload them, and then what I did was I cut out all of the dreams of the 13 that I was able to edit during the residency. And then I created frames for them. So this is one of those frames right here. Yeah, what else about this place? Over here, we have a few of my explorations of being. A lot of them are related to science in some way, so I'm really fascinated with exploring cosmology, quantum physics, biology, different ways of interrogating existence, spirituality, mysticism, all of those things are really inspirational to my work. So a lot of these pieces are about exploring those concepts. For example, this is redshift. Redshift is, I would audit cosmology lectures during my time in New Haven. And one of the principles of cosmology is that the particles or the stars, as they expand, as the universe expands, we're getting a redshift. It's shifting red, which means that the wavelength is getting longer. And so that indicates that there's an expansion of the universe. So I really like this spiraling concept and warping of waves away from us. And what might that mean? So I've been exploring these things through my work. Time Giver is a piece that very simple, it's very similar to the redshift of what is time, how do we swim in it, who gives it to us, how do we generate it, is it something that we can transmute and shape, or is it just inherently a part of us? And I think the expansion of the universe and the spiraling of time are intricately interwoven. The nature of our solar system following after one sun, the spiraling nature of it is endemic into our very being. And that's what this piece is about right here, which is about our internal spiraling, our internal clock of time, and the endogenous self-generating rhythm, the internal timekeeping that each of us have. We all have a biological rhythm, a symphony within us all. And so I'm really fascinated by the connection of midday star point, the cosmos, time, our bodies, and our ways of being. This is a creature in the stars. Over here we have a few more creatures. This one is woman entering ritual. So we have two beings coming forward into a ritual space, and then a crowd of beings up here. These are really expressive and more organic shapes. This is a woman standing and facing left. We have another kind of moldy. This one is Mothman. It's a mask of a moth that I created, and some other ones as well. We have cranes in the distance, as particles. And the reason why I work so much around science in my artistic practice is because coming from public school in Texas, I was not given the background in science to be able to study it. And so when I entered into classrooms at a collegiate level and beyond, I was not accepted into those realms. So I always would sneak into the back of the quantum physics lectures and the cosmology lectures and the biology lectures. But I was kind of relegated to political science because that's what children of lower class people can speak to, because that's our lived experience every day. But deep in me, all I want to do is question the universe, question being, question time, question what it is to be at all. And so my artistic practice is really the only space where I'm free to do that. until I find a space that accepts alternative ways of thinking. There are several residencies that allow artists to come in and sit with scientists and really explore collaboration between arts and science. And I hope someday to be able to be accepted to some of those. Over here is also a kind of organic matter bit of just cells and under the microscope, what kind of microbiome is going on, and the way that it's ripped and bit indicates an organic process, as well as the gravitational kind of push towards the bottom of this is kind of a showcase of some little particles, and they are both particle and galaxies at the same time. So this piece, again, although incredibly simple to me, has deep, deep meaning, and I'm very attached to it. Some drawings people made, and then if we come over here, this area over here, I've put together a few pieces that are connected. So we have, this is Fault Lines. So this is a book of poetry that I wrote during an abusive relationship, and exploring the dynamics, interpersonal dynamics, international dynamics, and what it means to come together and create disorder, create chaos, create pain. What is that experience like for the individual in interpersonal dynamics as well as in national scales? So what is it like to live in an abusive dynamic, either interpersonally, domestically, or internationally, nationally, locally, and globally? And then this piece is all during that time, really working through not being gaslit. So all of these words that are written here were said to me, and they were said to me by either my friends or by my partner, who was actively trying to demean me and turn me into something that I am not. So it was, it's a very emotional piece for me. It's a very vulnerable piece. It's hard for me to display it. It's hard for me to even talk about it. But I believe that these dynamics that are happening on a global scale, whether that be through the international wars that are happening or on a national scale with the way that we are treating our people and our workers and our laborers, and then on a domestic scale with the way that women are treated and other beings, not necessarily just women, but the dynamics, I think, are fractals of each other, very similar to the cosmological principles of both the particle and the universe as fractals of each other. So yeah, those are pieces about that. And then this piece here is called Julie and the Chickens. It's about how two realities can exist simultaneously, and the shadow and the light, and what could be and what is, and what overlaps simultaneously. So I put it on this out of tune piano as a way to engage with discordant tones and dissonance, as well as harmony and beauty and love, and how all frequencies exist simultaneously, including the discordant ones. The piano itself is wrapped in moving blankets, exhibiting a state of liminality and in between, what it is to uproot your life and move to another place. And the piano is falling apart, older, been sitting there a while. So having this juxtaposition of moving and being in place and stuck speaks directly to fault lines. The photo here I took in Iceland of some seagulls who would sit on the black sands and die and then slowly decay into sand. Some of them, however, mistook the black asphalt for black sand and would die in places that were inhospitable to their natural evolution into the sands of time. So this painting or this mixed media piece on fault lines really explores what it is to be in a disjointed and in between state where you're constantly being blamed, and all the voices that come from those around you and all the identities that you assume in that fault line, those contrasting places. Ceramic mug that was broken, smashed during the residency, I played with as a form of empire and ruin. Here are some really sweet notes that some people I interviewed gave me. One person even gave me a $2 bill. Other people drew JoJo, gave me maps. These are all the things. Here are some pieces that I made. So this is Woman with a Guitar. This was all made out of hibiscus. I was exploring using different organic inks. So I used hibiscus, the flower, and made this kind of purplish dark blue ink. Here's another version of the hibiscus where I would play with it over many different weeks, put different layers on top of each other, and then find faces within the inks. Here's a drawing I did of a woman genuflecting, bowing down, made out of oils. I was really interested in using found materials like cardboard because there was a recycling bin right outside. This is another hibiscus painting using different inks, exploring indigo and hibiscus and the different shapes that come out. Again, really playing with worms. Love worms. Really into worms and time and layer and decay and mold and different ways. This was in landscape exploration using graphite and oils. And then these were some oil pastel explorations of different dimensions, different seasons, playing with different ways of looking at the world and the many different dimensions that exist in one plane, because we are so tiny we only comprehend 4, maybe 5 dimensions, and there are infinite dimensions all around us. Again, really playing with the cardboard that I was found materials, using lots of found materials. This was a piece of called Mr. Frog, a shape that was made out of oils and some ink. And I love the way it looked with the decaying and fractal shapes of the walls. I really like the way that decay looks. I don't know if you can tell that, but I really, really love that juxtaposition. And over here, we enter into some of my old work. So here are some writings that I've done, some books that I've written. Right now, these are all in zine state. I have currently 6 books that I have written, and I'm working on eventually getting to an editor and to a publisher. And then this is a series that I'm working on, an animated series about the canary in the coal mine. You can find out more online about that. Over here is a painting that I did in a migrant detention camp on the Texas border. It was a memory that I had working in the offices there as a legal advocate, trying to help people get asylum, and just the vividness of this particular moment. I'm trying to bring it back, bring it out, because we weren't allowed to have cameras or any sort of electronics in the detention camps. So hopefully one day it will come to more fruition. You can see it more clearly. This was the area where my computer and my editing suite were. Right now I just have a few pieces. This is about free will, control, dimensions, how people interact, what boundaries are. This is about an exploration of like what peace could look like, and this is about DNA and how we come together and create different forms, and then the different rippling patterns and spaces of individual, family, community, policies, international, all the different fractals. This is an exploration of what peace could look like. Is peace only possible through stasis? A long, long time ago, a world in complete stasis. All was ice, all was solid. There was no war, no chemical reactions. All was at rest. The world knew peace. Is that the only way that peace can come to be? And now I'm just going to pack up all my things, get them all out of here, and say goodbye to this wonderful studio that I had the pleasure of being in. I hosted my first ever festival. So all of the people that were interviewed, and I was able to get their interviews edited in time for the end of the artist residency, I invited to come and make their dreams a reality. So the first thing they did was spoke their dreams. The second thing we did was share their dreams through the interviews, which can be found on YouTube still. And then the last thing we did as the third act of this residency was to make those dreams a reality. I know that the world that we live in is not the only one that is possible. The more we speak our dreams, the more they become reality. So let's open up as much space as possible for everyone to dream of new worlds, new paradigms, new ways of being, new shapes of being, new, new anything, and to continue to evolve. What would it be like as a society for us to come together and just really dream? What would that look like? And we, during the New Haven Dream series, we heard from a lot of people in New Haven who have been dreaming. There are dreamers everywhere, in all pockets of the world. Let us elevate their voices. I'm so grateful to have had this space for 4 months, to have witnessed and sat with so many dreamers speak about their dreams, whether they be their actual dreams while they were sleeping, or their dreams for the world, or their dreams for themselves. It was such an honor to witness that and to really start a completely new thing. The New Haven Dream series did not exist before this artist residency. It was created here on this couch